Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Facet Nation. Do I know what number it is? I think it's probably 4. What do you think, Simon?
I would agree with you. I think it's 4.
Wonderful. Well, today is a really exciting day for us. We've been looking forward to this basically this whole time. This is what we've done it for. This is our first single gemstone episode. It's actually going to be a 2-parter because it's such a beefy boy. We're going to be talking about Corundum. I'm Lucinda Beeman, FGA.
And I am Simon Barber, FGA, DGA. Are we going to keep doing that?
Yeah, we certainly are. We've paid for enough for it, haven't we?
Okay, that's fair enough.
And today we're talking about, I think I likened it in the last episode to like the popular girl in high school who you can't really be mad at because she does everything so well.
Yeah.
It's Corundum.
Yeah, well, you didn't actually say Corundum that time. We were referring to their varieties, weren't we? Which are Ruby and Sapphire.
And this blows people's minds, and it actually blew my mind the first time I learned it, but rubies and sapphires are the same. They're the same thing. They're just different colors.
Exactly the same thing, yeah.
But I think it's actually some great gemological lore because you've been in gem dealers, I've been in gem dealers. We're all sat there doing business, like tapping glass counters, I think, and little plastic boxes, arguing about whether something is red enough to be a ruby or whether they're taking the piss.
I've got some glass boxes over there. I don't know if there's many sapphires in them. I'm too poor for that.
Well, so 2 of the most, I would say, desirable stones in the world, 2 of the most valuable stones in the world, certainly. When it comes to engagement rings, absolutely crucial that you know your sapphires down. That's
you need
what
to know
people
your
are looking
onions
for.
with the corundum. Yes, you do.
And then again with rubies, like all the cool girls are after rubies. But Simon, I remember actually, we can cut this out if you don't want to talk about it. But when we were in our course, you said someone had come to you with like a massive budget, like in the tens of thousands of pounds, wanting to make a ruby ring, but there are no rubies left.
No, that's absolutely true. You can't buy one. So I had a guy come to me yesterday who was like a gem nerd, and he was sort of trying to peddle his gems. He's probably going to listen to this actually because I told him to. But he came in and we had a really good chat, and we were talking about rubies, and he's trying to sort of position himself to sell like good quality stones. And he was like, "Well, where'd you get them from?" And I was like, "Don't fucking ask me. I don't know." Like I was telling you about that emerald that we sold, and we had that in the safe. If someone came in and asked me for it, I wouldn't know where to get it from. I don't like these things don't exist in normal life. Like, oh, you want a Magok pigeon blood ruby? Can't get it. No. We're going to tell you what that is in a minute.
We will. So don't worry. If we're not talking in depth about something, it's not because we don't know it, because we definitely do. It's because we're saving the best for last. And also waiting for your questions. So make sure that you email us at enquiries@facetnation.co.uk.
Yep, we love a chat on the Instagram message.
Yep, we're always here. I'm supposed to be managing it, but Simon is straight in there, which I appreciate because then I don't have to talk to people.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
But we've had, there's an amazing gem cutter out of the USA who came and saw us at my workplace, and he said, "Do you have any rubies, even if they've been previously cut, so that I can have a look at them, just because I want to see?"
Oh, yeah, cool.
But there are no rubies on the market right now. So the only way to get rubies at the minute are to buy antique jewelry at auction, cut them out of whatever they've been set in. It's a kind of a sorrow in and of itself.
We've got some nice ones, actually. We've got some like no heat Madagascar, and I've got a no heat Mozambique, I think, a no heat Thai, some nice ones. But like,
and I'm paying attention,
no heat Burma or anything like that.
Oh, no, nothing like that. But I do think, I feel this way about emeralds as well. My mom was asking me about the difference between a Colombian emerald and a Zambian emerald or a Brazilian. And there are differences, but you can find very beautiful stones in all of these places. And so I think there will always be the allure of the Burma ruby. But girl, if you hit me with a Mozambique ruby, I'm taking it.
Well, we're going to tell you why they're similar actually in a minute. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, indeed. Enough gossip.
Yeah. Tell us
I'm
what
on
Corundum...
holiday, by the way, which is why I'm drinking white wine.
It's fine. You have to drink me on holiday. So tell us what Corundum is.
I kind of think of it as like the bad bitch of colored gemstones. It is the closest that you're going to get to diamond in terms of hardness, lustre, kind of all of these things that we're picking up. But what it essentially is aluminium oxide. Simon in our show notes has put in a very exciting chemical formula, which
Yeah,
is
so
A. Would you like to
so
talk
that's
about that in more detail, Simon? You nerd.
so that's two aluminium atoms bonded ionically with oxygen. So aluminium oxide.
And it is very important to learn these chemical compositions as much as you don't want to, especially if you're taking a Gem A course. It's incredibly helpful, but it also helps you understand the relationship between different families of stones. So when we talk about spinel, we'll talk about spinel in a little bit, actually, because so much of the history of spinel is being mistaken for ruby or sapphire, but it's got a very similar chemical composition, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah,
And
just
these
because they look the
little
same.
changes, these little changes make all the difference. So
it's trigonal. That's a key important fact about corundum.
And it's allochromatic, so essentially colorless in its pure form.
So aluminium oxide just on its own has no color. So whilst you might think of sapphires and rubies as having lots of color, aluminium oxide, corundum, in its pure form, has no color.
And that's really important for understanding it as a stone, because when you get these kind of gradients in color, it's because this is being added by something outside of the stone itself. So it happens to be forming alongside titanium and iron. It becomes blue. It happens to be alongside chromium. It's red. There's a lot of chromium. There's not a lot of chromium. And you'll see that both rubies and sapphires have these incredible gradient qualities. And when you see that, it's usually an allochromatic stone. And allochromatic means, of course, Simon?
Allochromatic means that the stone is coloured by a trace element that isn't part of its chemical makeup. So
exactly.
An idiochromatic stone. Yeah. So an idiochromatic stone will be coloured by something that is essential to its makeup, like a peridot.
Yes, is an idiochromatic stone. I like to remember it like idiochromatic it's all me, like me, myself, and I. And then allochromatic is like everybody else is doing this for me. It's all of us. We're all in this together.
Yeah, exactly. So a minute ago, you just mentioned that it's the next best stone to have for like your engagement ring because it's quite durable. And by durable, we mean it is resistant to damage, breakage. It's very excellent toughness. It's got very good stability and also Mohs hardness of 9. So second only to diamond.
And it's shiny as fuck. So it's got a bright vitreous luster, absolutely beautiful, and very popular with the English, I would say. You guys have a really long history of using sapphires and rubies from your colonial past to make really beautiful engagement rings.
Some of which, well, yes, I suppose you're referring to Kate Middleton's ring, which was previously Diana's.
Yep, 12-carat sapphire. You've also got Princess Eugenie has a Padparasha sapphire.
Does she?
Yes, I think it's a scam, but that's just because it looks bad on me.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I know. I did because I love gemstones, Simon. But yes, she's got, again, she's got the Kate Middleton, but a Padparasha rather than a blue.
Interesting. So another interesting thing to know about sapphires and rubies is that we were just talking about durability, but they don't cleave. So diamonds, one of the downfalls of diamond is that it has cleavage planes, so it can break in certain directions. Corundum doesn't do that.
One wrong knock. Oh, sorry, my mom's
wrong knock, and you're knackered.
My mom's just walked in with a tiny ice cream.
Well, that's very kind of her. Hi, Mom.
Sorry, I did tell them we were doing this.
It's fine. It's our first guest.
Anyway, yes, and this is, I think, as a jeweler or someone who deals with like people's very big diamonds, it's incredibly stressful when they come in and something's been cleaved because it just means it's going to have to be replaced. Whereas sapphires and rubies are normally a bit like, well, you've done this but let's talk about the ways that you can mitigate the damage a little bit.
Yeah, so the cleavage is, so when something cleaves, it means that the breakage is likely to carry on going along that plane because it's actually a direction of weakness, whereas if it doesn't have cleavage, then the likelihood is that it will still, it could still break, but it's going to break and then potentially stop. And then you're not going to, it's not going to want to keep going.
Or maybe chip and it's a bit sad, but it won't like split in half unless something terrible happens.
Yeah, but having said that, corundum does grow in twinned layers, so it can split between those layers, which is known as lamellar twinning.
Which is a crazy concept. So lamellar twinning Took me a really long time to get my head around Simon. We'll go into this in another episode, don't worry. But what's a crash course in lamellar twinning?
So basically, lamellar twinning is when the crystal grows in twinned layers, and rather than breaking along a plane of weakness in the crystal structure, it might break along a join plane. So obviously it's going to be weaker if you glue two things together, the glue's going to be the bit that's weak, not the actual thing itself. That's basically the long
I
and
would say
short of that.
it's very bad luck if you've got something like that going on in a high quality faceted sapphire ruby. Because normally, I mean, it's a wonderful stone for engagement rings. And actually, aside from diamond, one of the very few that I would recommend for someone who isn't a gemologist, I'm happy to recommend a spinel for myself because I know
because you know how to look after it, is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
You know
Whereas,
how to not fuck it up.
Exactly. Whereas, but even then, I'll be at wards and I'll be like, yeah, I'm really into rubellite tourmaline right now. And they're like, you'll batter that to shit. Like you'll have no facets left in 1 year, however careful you are about it. And fair enough.
Yeah.
Sapphire and ruby, though, they are robust babies. They will.
Exactly.
And they're also very expensive.
They are also increasingly expensive, getting more expensive by the day, unfortunately.
Well, because they're so desirable. They've got very good stability, which means that you can chuck it in an ultrasonic cleaner. You can clean it any way that you want to. You don't have to worry about it. It's basically going to be fine. It's extremely heat resistant. So it's got a melting point, Simon has said, of about 2054 degrees Celsius.
Very specific.
Very specific, but I bet that's in the course notes, isn't it?
No, it's not. I found that out myself.
You found that on your own?
Yeah.
But they're basically amazing stones.
This is around 2000, actually, I think, in the course notes.
Oh, okay. So more specific.
Yeah.
I mean, in a nutshell, the great thing about Corundum is it's every color and it's incredibly wearable.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Whatever you need it for, it's your girl. It's like, it's down.
That's the
it
key
showed up to the party ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. No messing. It's here to play. So other things you want to know about Corundum are, and things that if you're a student of gemology that you probably want to lock into your memory, is that it has a refractive index of between 1.76 to 1.78. That's something that, if you've got a stone that you think is Corundum or sapphire ruby, put it on the RI and you don't even have to look at a reference book for that. You should remember this one. And a birefringence of 0.008 to 0.009.
And I would also say when you're testing in the wild, that is such a distinctive birefringence and such a distinctive RI, because if you're looking at something that is blue, it's maybe a topaz or an aquamarine. They're going to be way lower. Like Corundum's going to be much higher. If you're looking at something that's kind of reddish brown, it could be a Thai ruby, but they're going to be singly refractive, right? So they're only going to have one line.
You mean garnet?
That's exactly what I meant. Sorry.
I thought you did. Don't worry. I'm here.
Going to edit that out?
No.
And so actually when you're out in the world and you pop something on a refractometer, it's very clear, especially when you've got these context clues of color zoning, which we'll talk about later. It's pretty clear when something is a sapphire versus when it isn't.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you're looking to buy a sapphire and you're going into a store and roughly, let's say, what a 1 carat diamond looks like. Let's not just say a 1 carat diamond should be about 6.4 millimeters in diameter. If you've got a ruby,
someone was on Wikipedia today.
No, that's something I just know as well.
Oh, okay. He's a DJ.
A sapphire. So diamond has an SG of 3.52. Is that right? I think it is.
Sounds good to me.
But Corundum has an SG. You kind of normally figure Corundum has an SG of about 4. It's actually 3.8 to 405. So your 1 carat of sapphire or ruby is going to be smaller than your 1 carat of diamond. That's dense. Really worth remembering.
She's tightly packed.
She's dense, like the popular girls at school.
I don't know if that's what we said about the popular girls at school, Simon, but
Oh, well, I not
I appreciate you running with the analogy.
I'm trying to tie everything back together.
Tie it back up. That's called storytelling, girl.
Yeah, exactly. Also, it's worth noting they'll probably be a bit deeper as well, so also a bit smaller. So don't go in somewhere expecting to see a carat-sized diamond's worth of sapphire for the same weight of, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, then, because the cut that you need to get, so people are cutting diamonds for what we talked about last time, which is this perfect formula of fire versus brilliance. They are cutting colored stones, especially sapphire, where you've got crazy color zoning going on, and also ruby, where if you cut it one way, it's too pink to be a ruby. If you cut it another way, it's like lovely and red. They're cutting those stones really deep. So always be aware when you're looking at carat weight of sapphires and rubies in particular, which are so expensive, price per carat. They are cutting that mother deep to give it the best color payoff and the most carat weight that they can.
And to make more money.
Well, yes, but, you know, for
That's
the beauty of the
cynic's point of view.
stone, Simon.
Yeah, no,
Well,
absolutely.
it's all for more money. This is a capitalist world, but
Yeah, absolutely. You're completely right. So,
and obviously it goes without saying, we'll talk about SG, specific gravity. It's going to get like 7 episodes later. Yeah.
So tell me about sapphires in particular. Let's focus on sapphires now, and tell me what they look like when they come out of the ground.
Well, they look like baby barrels. It's actually really interesting. Is this what you're trying to talk to me about?
No, I'm talking about like their crystal habit, what they look like in crystal
form.
They
look like little barrels.
Do they? Okay. Expand.
It literally says that in the Gem course notes.
Does it?
So some of you will be watching me do this with my really fun fake nails, and some of you will be listening to me describe this. Basically, we have sapphires, may or may not be blue. Everybody remember they are allochromatic, so they are colored depending on who's hanging around in that very moment. But they cut, so it's a hexagonal outline. So you will always be able to count 6 sides, but
despite the fact that trigonal means triangular, which is the crystal system that it belongs to. But that's a complicated thing that we'll talk about in another time.
But it makes sense if you think about it. So the way that I like to think about the crystal systems is they're kind of a guide, and they will never lead you astray if you remember that they're also fucking with you, if that makes sense. Okay. So if something is trigonal, it can have 3, 6, or 9 sides, but it will never have like 8.
Basically ones that are divisible by 3. Yeah.
Exactly. If something is hexagonal, it's got, I'm about to show myself out here, 6 sides.
Bingo.
It can have 6, it can have 12, it might have 24 if you're really unlucky. Probably not, though. So my starting point is always count the sides, but sapphire in particular,
6 is where they overlap. Yeah,
it is so unique and so clear, especially if you're kind of training to take the Gem A course.
Yeah, that's the sort of shit you want in the exam.
They love a barrel. They love a barrel because it's all that they can, like, ultimately any stone can come in any shape because millions of years and nature.
And things get fucked up in the ground, yeah.
Exactly. And things get fucked up when you're digging them out, and things get fucked up in the pipeline.
When they get washed down the river, yeah.
Alluvial deposits. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So what Gem A really loves is this barrel-shaped sapphire. Rubies don't do this. Is it because of the chromium?
Yes, we'll get onto that. Maybe in the second episode we'll focus a bit more on ruby. But yes, I think that's right.
So when it comes to sapphires, think a skinny, it's skinny, then it's fat, then it's skinny again. It'll have horizontal striations, which Simon describes as, quote unquote, running perpendicular to the flat faces across the prism. I just think it's the fat way. And
the fat way. Yeah, okay, across. Yeah.
It's across. There's usually some color zoning.
It is horizontal if you're looking at it in the way that you would normally look at it. But I suppose, strictly speaking, if you're going to describe it, you should have a reference point. But
yes, and this is the kind of stuff that Gem A is going to want from you. But if you're just out in the world and you see a weird topsy-turvy barrel... Yeah, horizontal striations.
Otherwise, you're looking at it wrong.
Often some yellow, like some color zoning.
Yeah, a bit like staining in it and stuff like that, like iron staining, things like that. Yeah.
And one thing I will say is the lustre. Mom, love you. Sorry. She got bored. She doesn't like gemology as much as she thought she did.
I love it, honey. It's amazing. I'm just hungry.
Okay, bye.
Hello.
The lustre will always tell. So a bright vitreous lustre, if you can turn your piece of rough and you see bright vitreous lustre, you know where you're at immediately.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. So bright vitreous lustre, we're talking pyramidy, double pyramids, we're talking like barrels, those sorts of shapes.
A lovely, easily identifiable one. Once you see enough of them, you'll know.
Yeah, 100%. It should be really easy to identify. Once you've seen them, you're like, yes, bingo. That's a corundum crystal.
I think we got one in our diploma exam, didn't we?
Yeah, maybe we did.
I think we got all the hot girls. We got a zircon, we got a quartz, we got everything we were praying for, and then our D stones were actual devils. Yeah. I just remember thinking, let this be a tourmaline. It's allowed to be a tourmaline.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've noticed at work, but I'm really, really, really noticing very a lot that green and teal sapphires are a big thing at the moment. So the varieties of sapphire are basically prefixed by their colour, except for one, but we'll save that one till last maybe. Obviously,
it's also what makes sapphire the most interesting stone, or the most versatile maybe, is that it comes in all these permutations.
Yeah.
And so it's actually a very fashion-led stone. So what we've noticed is one color will be the big craze, and there's another color, and it almost comes in waves.
Yeah, but all of these things are gaining in popularity, I think, because of what's going on with the diamond market. So people are leaning into gemstones, and like the value of these green ones I've seen over the last 18 months just, well, probably double. Like
really?
The price that the suppliers are offering me them at, I reckon, has doubled in the last 12 to 18 months.
Because what we've seen is the demand is really high for greens and teals, but for yellow, because everything is beryllium treated, we actually can't get... It's interesting because there's a lot of stones that are very cheap, but they're very bad. And then there's a few stones that are very good, but they're a little bit too expensive, but nowhere near a more desirable color, for example.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think yellow might be the one that's coming through now. I think people are sort of maybe leaning into yellow colours because, I don't know, maybe the greens are getting a bit expensive. Obviously, blue's always going to be the most expensive.
I think people are sick of yellow diamonds. So they're saying, why am I spending this money for a fancy yellow or a low color white when I could just get a stone that is meant to be that color?
Yeah, that makes sense.
What I don't... Well, let's go through this and then I'll tell you what I don't see and you can make it up on the fly.
Okay. So obviously blue's the most valuable and always going to be the most valuable colour. It's the one that, you know, we're talking ages old, always been a big thing. Blues are coloured by iron and titanium. You mentioned that earlier, I think.
And we'll go into that colouring mechanism later in much detail, don't worry.
The interesting thing about green and sort of tealy sapphires is that actually, I suppose you could sort of say they're not actually really green. What they are is a combination of yellow and a combination of blue. So there's iron producing the yellow of a particular valence state, and there is titanium and the iron together creating the blue. And it's kind of like a combination of those, which is why you often find those sort of slightly weird colour zones in them, which I think only adds to how nice they are.
Though. Some people really don't like that, though. So some people want, I think what they really want is a spinel, but they want like a flat khaki green.
That's tricky to find.
You can find it. It's usually very low quality stones. And it also, to me, the whole point of a sapphire, because it's allochromatic, you're getting this incredible color zoning. And so from every angle, it looks a little bit different. So from one angle, you're seeing the blue, from one, you're seeing the yellow, from up top, you're seeing the green.
Yeah.
But you get so much variation
all over the place.
Exactly. And there's so much variation in the stone and in the light source that you're looking at it from, which to me is very cool. But I do think especially people who are used to looking at diamonds, it makes you think the stone's not as good. When actually that's the point of the stone. Like,
yes,
the whole point of an allochromatic stone is it can be all of these things at once. It's like a chimera, and we'll get onto party-colored sapphires later. I'm obsessed.
So if we're talking about value specifically, the next most valuable variety of sapphire would be the hallowed Padparacha.
I've called this a scam on a past episode, and I thought about that and I felt bad about that, but I stand by it.
You've called it a scam because of some that are on the market that are not natural, I assume, or
I
because
actually called it a
you
scam
actually
because
think it's
I
a bit
don't think
shit.
it's that
You
nice.
don't like it. I think you actually said it doesn't look good on me, so fuck it.
Yes, that's exactly. Fuck that.
Okay, fine.
That is why I think it's a scam. But
So
as I said,
Padpara-
Princess Eugenie has a Padparacha.
Yeah, you did. I
Very-
found that
oh,
quite interesting, actually.
Sorry. Well, they're very exclusive. I also think they're very English.
Oh, do you?
In America, we 2-carat minimum, so nobody can afford a Padparacha. We've never heard of this. Like, what is Sri Lanka? We don't understand.
Okay, yeah, fine.
It's just not a thing. It all feels a bit post-colonial to me, the Padparacha.
So the word Padparacha, as you rightly say, is Sri Lankan.
Please don't cancel me, guys.
And it's Sinhalese for the colour of lotus flower. Lotus flowers are nice looking, though, no? Do you know those sweets, the fruit salad? Do you get those in America? Do you have those as a kid?
I have literally been to Sri Lanka. I've never seen a lotus flower.
Okay, yeah.
I
don't
saw
think I've ever
peacock.
seen a lotus flower either. But they're
I've
nice
also
colours.
never seen these sweets that you describe. Shall I what are they?
So basically a fruit salad is like a chewy sweet that you used to get as a kid.
Baby, do you know what a fruit salad is?
Yeah, Jake,
Do you
I know
like
what fruit
it?
salad is.
Along with blackjacks.
Yes, the fruit salads and the blackjacks. That's exactly right. So they were like twins. Blackjacks were like black as the night, and licoricey, and a fruit salad is like pinky orange, and they basically
I'm
looks like a
googling this
Padparacha.
now. This looks awful, y'all.
Fucking amazing.
They are fucking amazing. I totally agree.
This looks awful, y'all.
Yeah.
This is how cool.
I don't want to alienate our English listeners, but gushers are better.
Okay.
So,
But anyway, they look like Padparacha. They're Padparacha colour. So,
and it's this kind of luminous pink orange, but again,
Pinky
with
orange,
so much of Corundum, it's arguing about it orange enough.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of. I don't know if you frequent the Reddit boards, Simon. I think you should.
I do occasionally.
I see a lot of people buying quote unquote Padparachas,
which are just pink.
just the saddest pink sapphire you've ever seen.
Yeah, I would concur with that. Yeah.
But do you know what I think? If you love a stone, buy it.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Not just because it's popular, not just because it's got a fancy name or looks like a fruit salad. Just buy it because you like it. Yeah, 100% agree. And I suppose the other scam, if you like, with Padparacha is that you can create the colour by pumping beryllium into it. Beryllium is a tiny, tiny little atom that gets right in the crystal.
And they're only one. So if you think of heat treatment, which is actually done to most corundums, basically beryllium treatment, beryllium is so small and it creates that kind of pink orange color.
Atomic number 4.
So thank you, Simon. The 4% more that you got on your theory than me. Anyway, it basically expands the atomic. When you heat something up, it expands. God, how do I explain this without getting really boring? It expands the atomic structure of the stone.
And let's
which means, yeah, so like the tiny like rogue beryllium can like
sneak
slip
through.
In. Yeah. It's undetected.
And actually, like you can't detect that with your normal shit that you have at home. You need to send this to a lab. You need to even vaporize the shit out of it and then analyze the vapor in order to figure out what this is. So that, I guess, endorses your scam theory.
Well, and I just think, I don't know, I'm in two minds about it. I'm a gemologist, but first and foremost, I'm a woman.
That loves gems.
That loves gems.
Yeah.
And I just think there are so many, it's the same kind of thinking of why get a Labradoodle when you could get a violent animal from the pub, which I would do, and give it enough love.
Lean into the violence, yeah.
Or a Windsor Sapphire, for example. I'd so much rather have an interesting stone than an expensive one because it happens to hit the threshold of what someone deems a Padparacha.
I've sort of bought my wife a few trendy stones as studs, and she's got 4 studs, and she's got 1, they're all mismatched. They're all different shapes, and they're all and she wears them all in combination or whatever. And I haven't bought her a paparacha, so that must tell you something.
Well, what have you bought her?
Pariba, Spinel,
Nice. See, that's cool.
Zavarite, and a Spessartine.
Talk to me about the Spinel. What color?
It's like pinky purple, and it's princess cut.
Nice. Well, you know, my perfect gem currently lives at Crystal Myths.
Oh yeah, we talk about this a lot, don't we?
Yeah. I send Jacob photos of it every week. Videos.
He can endorse that behind you, can he?
Jakey, do you love my Spinel?
It's very pretty. I see it many times a week.
There you go.
Twice a week. That's it.
It makes him sad though, because it's quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, because I'm so used to being like, oh, we've got 15 grand for the stone. I'm like, what is this? What is this?
No,
But
I know
it's
what
a
you
lot of
mean.
money.
You can sort of forget the sort of value that you're dealing with every day when you do this sort of thing. And that's worth remembering and appreciating, actually, because it's very special that we get to see these things every day.
Totally. And also, I think what matters to you matters to you. You know,
Yeah,
I
100%.
don't need it. A sapphire of that Spinel is a beautiful, perfect burgundy red. It is 4.39 carats. Excellent cut.
It's big.
She's a big boy. I'm an American, 2 carat minimum.
Yeah.
She's a big boy, and a sapphire that would be nuts.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like not.
But speaking of sapphires, shall we talk about
where they come from?
Well, I think we haven't even talked about star varieties because I hate
you're
them.
right, actually. Yeah, so other varieties that you get star ones. Did we mention this in a previous episode? Like, yeah, we did.
We have
Asterism,
mentioned,
that.
yes, we mentioned asterism. So sapphires are a big one where this becomes really important because a star sapphire, a star ruby, like the most famous stones in the world are star stones, which is interesting because
famous.
I don't see that people really want to buy them as a general rule.
No, I mean,
it seems to be like
focusing
dorks.
light on them. It's kind of, I suppose, like really good ones look fine in the sun.
Like fine.
Yeah.
But like you do you, hun.
Yeah.
But so obviously starstones are usually cut as a cabochon. You can have star sapphires, star rubies, usually of good color. Like if they're large, they've got really well-defined asterism.
Then you should be a bit wary.
But also, I was about to say it could be
valuable.
amazing.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm always a pessimist.
But they are very likely synthetic. It's very rare to see a really good star on a sapphire.
Yeah, with a good color and all that stuff. Yeah. Really,
this
really
is
unlikely.
what Craig says. I don't know. Maybe he's lying.
Well, especially in your exam. So just remember that.
Well, for sure. Because they're cheap as fuck.
Yeah.
One thing if you're seeing a really beautiful quality star, ruby or sapphire, if you're not in the vicinity of a safe or like very heavy security, you're probably looking at something fake. Yeah.
No, that's a good thing to have in the back of your mind when you're looking at these things. So yeah, where do they come from? The most famous location, even though they only produced stones for about 6 years in the 1880s, is Kashmir.
So gorgeous. And it is actually worth, unfortunately, memorizing the localities and inclusions of every single sapphire and ruby and emerald on the course notes. Like that just is useful.
Well, not just for being a student, actually, but like I talk about this sort of stuff at work when I'm selling these things as well, because you'd be like, oh, this is a this, and it's a this because of this. Like, for example, if I had a cashmere sapphire, I'd be looking at this fine, rutile, silky inclusions that's creating this velvety glow, this sort of like, yeah, like you want to sort of rub your hand over it, like it's got some texture, and that's kind of what they look like.
Even if it's not even down to selling, I'm not a salesperson. I do production. That's my get out of jail free clause. But if you love the stones, being able to look at them and describe their almost personality to somebody is so powerful. Like what we ultimately want as gemologists is for these stones to end up with somebody who appreciates them.
Yes, and appreciates them for what makes
their
them,
history, what makes
story.
them special. Exactly. Yeah. So let us talk you through, Simon's going to talk you through alluvial versus alluvial, and then I'll talk you through some of the inclusions that you can expect to find. Does that sound good?
Yeah. So alluvial deposits are ones that are, so you don't often find sapphires in their parent rock. So you don't really have to chip them out of their rock. because they're so durable, you tend to let nature do that, and nature sort of dug them out by rain or freezing and shit like that. And then an alluvial deposit.
Nature dug those bitches out.
Yeah, so an alluvial deposit would be like, oh shit, you just found this at the bottom of the mountain. So it's kind of like fucking fallen out of its host rock, and it's like just hanging about pretty near its source. Whereas an alluvial deposit has been washed away or eroded by water. So you find them in like dried up riverbanks or.
But Gem A is very specific about this. So alluvial is a deposit made with the existence of, like, by the aid of or with the existence of water.
Yeah.
It's very important that you mention water.
Water, absolutely. Yeah. So alluvial is water associated. Alluvial is just somewhere. Yeah. So where else do they come from? And what are their defining qualities?
We were also going to say it's a testament to Corundum's durability that can survive this process.
Yeah. Because
we talk a lot about alluvial deposits, and actually,
because a lot of gemstones are so fucking like susceptible to getting buggered up that when you're hitting it with the rain and the shit and all the stuff that's breaking away the rock, they're getting ruined as well. So the fact that sapphires are surviving the trip down the river and all of this shit is, literally testament to their durability.
And it's actually really nice to start understanding durability in the context of where you're finding stuff, because it does, unfortunately, make a lot of sense, and it gives you a lot more context into, like, okay, so why am I finding spinel and, corundum in alluvial deposits, but I'm only finding sunstone in mines, or I'm only finding tourmaline when I explode California to look for it. And it does start making sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, like everyone loves a sapphire, has done historically. They come from very, beautiful places that you guys are probably familiar with. Kashmir, India, Simon has mentioned. These are the stones that are like insanely, we got a Kashmir sapphire actually in somebody's family jewelry earlier last year. We sent it off to Switzerland. These are the stones that you don't fuck about with. Like, you don't say that someone's got a Kashmir sapphire unless you can prove it. They are blue. They are beautiful. But they also have this really unique property where they have this kind of hazy, velvety glow. This is the rutile. And this shows up in lots of corundum from all around the world. But in Kashmir, it just is this definingly beautiful characteristic.
Because it's especially fine, and it's creating like a scattering of light. So these tiny, tiny, fine particles of rutile are causing a different effect that they would. So you might see light reflecting off coarser needles of rutile, but when they're fine, the light just sort of bounces off it and creates this hazy effect.
No, and they're so beautiful because it's all the things that you think about as a positive of a sapphire, but they also have this additional quality. So it's not like you're losing something because of the rutile. It just is so beautiful in this specific way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Myanmar, also known as Burma these days. Or did you have more to say about Kashmir? I
did no more to say about Kashmir, no. So we can move on to Burma. These are decent quality sapphires. I suppose you do get the slightly longer, coarser rutile in these. Lots of crystal inclusions like apatite particularly. Feathering and fingerprints is something you're going to notice a lot in sapphires. And
very important to understand the difference between a natural feather and an unnatural one. We've had many course mates, not us ever, obviously, get caught out by a flux feather versus a natural feather. It's very natural to have fingerprint inclusions, to have feather inclusions in sapphires. They're kind of the chaos baby of the gem world, except maybe zircon.
Yes, that's
although zircon is actually pretty predictable. So really sapphire for me, that's like doing whatever it wants.
Doing whatever it wants, yeah. So then you get other stones from other places like, say, Thailand and maybe even Australia. We could bunch in with this, but you get other stones from Australia too. The blue ones tend to be really dark because they're probably a bit more rich in the iron. So they're going to be, you get darker stones in places like Thailand.
A lot of people, and I actually am guilty of this. I was trying to be bitchy to my mom, and she has so I'm trying to control my bitchiness. I love my mom. I love my mom.
She has
a sapphire engagement ring. So it's a diamond and 2 sapphires, and then she has 2 party jackets.
Yeah.
The most Australian fucking sapphires. Any gemologist who's been in the game any longer than like 2 months will be able to spot an Australian sapphire. Like,
Because they're as black
that.
as hell.
They are fucking black.
Ooh.
I like to say, oh, mummy, look, you've got some colours on in here. Where it's not pitch black.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I can see this has rolled you up a little bit, but perhaps we should move on to another location that's a bit more attractive, and that's Sri Lanka.
Australia also has lovely party-coloured sapphires.
Yes, they do.
Are we doing that another day?
No, we're doing that in a minute.
JK, come back to that.
Yeah. So Sri Lanka, which is on the opposite, so flip that away from Australia. We've got Sri Lanka, who's got lovely sapphires, is a very important source of sapphires.
Oh, sorry.
This is where the hallowed Padparadsha comes from. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of crystals in these as well, maybe with like little stress halos around them as well.
I would also say most, unless your gem dealer is an American, in which case we've got something for you later, most British people will say,
where do sapphires come from? Sri Lanka. Is what you're going to say.
Well, I think that they'll say, so I've been in wards, for example, and they'll be like, oh, I just got engaged, Sri Lanka. Like, yeah, this is where British people want their sapphires.
Ceylon sapphire is a thing, isn't it? But they tend to be quite pale, actually. So if you have a tendency for a slightly more washed out colour of blue, a lighter, paler colour, then your Ceylon sapphire is going to do that for you.
Exactly. It's that kind of like periwinkle, super light, sparkly, like lovely.
I'm not entirely sure what a periwinkle is, let alone what colour it is.
Girl, let me tell you, we have all of these men, not that anybody else like knows any better, clearly, but everyone's like, she said she likes periwinkle. I don't know what that is. Can you find it for me? Like, yes, girl, periwinkle, cornflower, guy.
Cornflower. Okay, yeah. All right. I can know what that looks like.
But I have a very clear idea of what these mean, and my boss does not agree. So it's a lot of us standing around in Hatton Garden being like, no, I think this is periwinkle.
Just arguing.
Well, I think it's cobalt.
Just arguing. Yeah. Okay.
Meanwhile, it's like,
please do this somewhere else.
Can I go?
Yeah. So moving swiftly on, this is where you can talk about your party colour stones, because your homeland is home to some magnificent party colour stones, and that is in Montana.
The best sapphires in the world. Montana sapphires. I will say, since I've been in the industry, some people love them, some people hate them. But I think Montana is really interesting because these sapphires are very different from every other sapphire. And even the Gem A course notes, they acknowledge this. The lustre on a Montana sapphire.
We might cut that.
So they have almost a more metallic luster. They tend to be smaller. Lots of people think they're quote unquote shit because they have this party color, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, I
think
do
it's
too.
Really awesome.
Yeah,
and they're also a little bit hazier.
You see quite a good distinction between the colours as well. Like there's a definite sort of like, here's the colour and here's the other colour, which is nice. It's sort of a bit more tourmaline in that respect.
Well, and I also think I really think that the Montana sapphire, this kind of party colored vibe, is going to start becoming what cool girls are doing, because everything else is becoming unaffordable. Also, everything else we've already seen. So we've seen diamonds get tired. People are done with diamonds. Sapphires now, especially in England, are kind of oversaturated. The Montana sapphire, you have this metallic luster. You have perfect crystalline inclusions, which could be often cubic gemstones, which is wild. So spinel is often pyrite, like perfect cubic crystals in those stones. And then you also have this crazy party color. But I would say that Australia actually has the most. The party colors in a Montana are a little bit more subtle.
And maybe a bit more pastel as well, do you think? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
You get more pastel-y Montanas.
Agree.
Whereas
so
the Australian
like
stones are a bit brighter.
The baby blues, the baby yellows, whereas the Australians are like canary yellow, indigo.
Bosh. These are the colours.
Cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you tell me about this because you love the Windsor.
Well, I was just going to say that goes for stones out of Tanzania as well. You see like really bright, punchy colours coming through that, and like blended colours. Like the Windsor ones have got those little ink blots in them, but like the main body colour of the ones that I really like are like bright pinky, and then they've got this like little like splash of blue in them. Yeah, I think they're amazing.
I just think it'll be so interesting to see whether this is something that people start wanting to take up. I would say both of our clientele.
I think they've started already.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I started Cunning Folk with this idea that people want interesting stones that are still well cut and beautiful colors.
But they want interesting stones if they know about them too. Like,
exactly.
If you can convince somebody that if you have a collection of these interesting things in the window, it's going to draw the eye. People are going to be like, oh, hello, what's this? I've not seen this before. Tell me about this. And then you can encourage them into liking this just because it looks nice, not because they've heard about it or they know about it or historically someone else has had it and this sort of stuff. We're trying to educate people to appreciate and love these interesting things about gemstones.
One of these things that are never going to look like anything else that has ever existed for many reasons. First of all, it was grown
and
in
the thing is, you can't really
conditions.
synthesize this shit either.
No, you can't. You can't at
make
all.
These things.
And when you look, I swear to God, when you look at a synthetic diamond or a lab diamond, it looks like a diamond. When you look at a lab emerald or a lab sapphire or lab ruby, I can look at one and be like, "You're fucked, mate." Especially because in Gem A we get the really good ones that are really trying to look like what they are. The world isn't like that.
No.
And so with color gemstones especially, you can, for not very much money, you can have this amazing Windsor sapphire. I love this shop in Birmingham, shout out to Gems and Jewels UK. I go on there like a couple nights a week just shopping, and they'll have pink and purple party colored sapphires with a big Windsor like drop of indigo in the middle. You're never going to get that. And you can loop that shit and you can see
all manner of stuff
where the titanium stops. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cool.
It is so cool. Yeah. No, very, very good. Very good. Just before we start telling you about a few famous sapphires and try and wrap this up because we've been going on quite a while. Testing for blue sapphires. What are we doing? We're looking for specifically straight zoning, maybe with some angles, maybe sort of hexagon in its nature, but zoning, color zoning.
I feel like this is where people get confused, though, is around what is natural color zoning and what is not natural color zoning. We will cover this in a separate episode.
So the things to note, I suppose, on that are it needs to be straight, and also the gaps between the zones in natural stones tend to be more uneven. So if you've got zones in synthetic stones, you tend to be like, it'd be this thickness of zone, that, and then it'd be the same thickness again, at the same thickness again. That's something else to consider when you're looking at zoning. Other things to note are the fingerprints, like the healed fluid fractures. Obviously, the rutile, which we mentioned a few times. This is all stuff that's going to lead you to think that a stone is a sapphire and is a natural sapphire. Then other tests you can do, like the dichroscope. If you've got a blue sapphire, for example, it's going to have the two colours, like blue and greenish blue. And then tell us about the spectrum for, let's say, a blue sapphire.
Well,
what is that?
It's a single line in the blue.
Exactly that, yeah. I'm always agreeing with you.
I think where some people find difficulty is it can sometimes be really hard to see.
Yes.
And so if you are really convinced that you're looking at something that feels natural to you, it's got the color zoning is right, go with it.
So
don't say that you see something you don't see. Yes, exactly.
And you can see iron bands in other...
in fucking everything. I'm so annoyed with the iron band. Yeah. Like, the iron band is in chrysoberyl. It's in peridot. Like, I'm over it. I'm over the iron band. but it ideally will be there. If you don't see it, but you're pretty convinced, go with it.
And also all of these things in conjunction, obviously. You see the band in the blue, you see the dichroic colours if you've got a blue, and then you see some fingerprints and some straight zoning. You're 90% of the way there. Obviously, you're doing your RI and your 1.76 to 1.78, all of that shit. Bang, it's a sapphire. And then I suppose just another little tip is to say that if you've got a yellow sapphire that is from Sri Lanka, it tends to fluoresce apricot orange under long wave. It has no iron spectrum, whereas Australian ones do the opposite.
I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
They have no fluorescence, but do have an iron spectrum. So that's interesting.
Nice. That's very sick.
Tell us about some famous sapphires, and then maybe we'll call this episode to a close.
Yeah, let's get a little gossip. So sapphires are, as we said, one of the most popular stones generally, especially because they have such good durability. So they're very famous. I think the most famous sapphire in the world is actually, and you're not going to like me when I say this because we're going to do a separate episode on this, but Kate Middleton's engagement ring is a 12-carat sapphire. I think it's very dark. What do you think of this sapphire?
I've not spent a lot of time looking at it, I'm not going to lie.
Okay, so you've not done any research for this episode.
I did a bit of research on the Star of India. I think that's a bit more interesting, but you carry on.
So this is a 12-carat sapphire. It's allegedly from Burma, but it was once Princess Diana's wedding ring. And since then, and I would say forever, the perennial design that we're all looking at is big blue sapphire, diamond halo.
It's
Would
more
you
of a
agree,
cluster than a
Simon?
halo, wouldn't you say? So like a bit of a distinction there. Like that's
well,
so
one of us is a gemologist and one of us is a jeweler. So you tell me.
Bigger stones around the outside with sort of like you can see the shape of the stones, whereas a halo would be more sort of uniformly sort of haloing. Sorry.
Thank you for mansplaining that to me.
No, yeah. I was sort of mansplaining it to everybody, really pissing the entire population off, not just you. So,
as I said, Princess Eugenie coming through with the Padparasha sapphire engagement
I find
ring.
that really interesting that she's got one of them. Wait, who is she? Who's she related to? I mean, obviously the Queen.
She's Prince Andrew's daughter.
Andrew is the wrong one or not? No.
He's the one that didn't sweat it. Pizza Express.
Oh, is he? Oh, is she? Wow. Okay, cool.
So essentially what seems to happen, obviously Burma is no longer called Burma, it's called Myanmar. And Ceylon is no longer called Ceylon, it's called Sri Lanka. So you guys colonized the shit out of all these places.
Yeah, we did.
Took all their beautiful stones and then put them into rings to be engagement rings for your royal family.
To show off in front of the world how, yeah, okay. All right,
I'm an American. Obviously, I can't say that much about it. Donald Trump is the president right now. But it's like pretty gross. But on the bright side, lots of Americans have also been profiteering off of sapphires for a long time. So if you actually look at famous sapphires, you will see that a lot of them are in the American Museum of Natural History.
Right, that's where I saw the Star of India.
Indeed, but did you see the Logan Sapphire?
Probably, yeah.
So the great thing about the Logan Sapphire, first of all, it's 422.98 carats.
Okay, very specific. Well done.
She's a big boy. But she also, it's a kind of a classic story of British imperialism meets American money meets, like, people shouldn't change their names when they get married. But let me talk you through it. So this... Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
So once upon a time, a lovely person in Sri Lanka, which had its own name then, mined a 422.98 carat sapphire. This is how big it is once it's been cut and set.
Oh, my word.
She's fucking massive. So he allegedly gets beheaded because he didn't tell his boss immediately that he'd found this massive sapphire.
Well, the dude that mined it.
Yes. This is
Whoa.
Simon, you understand how, like, mining is so creepy, right?
Yeah, but like give him a break, man. He found it.
No, girl. We'll do the ethics of mining another day because I think if we're going to be gemologists, we have to, like, develop a line on this.
Yes.
Because it's pretty bad.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll come back to y'all on this. So they cut his fucking head off, and then he sold it to one of your viscounts. I don't even know what a viscount is, but his name was Sassoon.
Cousin of a periwinkle, I think.
So Daddy Sassoon got this stone.
Vidal Sassoon. No, move on.
That's what I thought, because I got the best haircut of my life at a Sassoon.
Okay.
But apparently it was a different one. But then I'm thinking, Sassoon. Are they all the same? And it's just like money.
The only other Sassoon I know about is Siegfried Sassoon. I think was a war poet, but we digress.
He was, and he actually died in the trench.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
So it could have been one of them.
So maybe related.
I'm getting a bit drunk, so you have to keep me on track here.
Okay. we can wrap this up fairly soon.
So anyway, this Sassoon dude, who was like a lord of some manor, bought this stone off of the warlord who cut someone's fucking head off to have it. Then the Rockefellers, this Rockefeller dude, bought it for his wife, and she was like, oh, lovely, had it set. He died. She donated it in the name of her new husband.
Wow. So it should really be like the Rockefeller sapphire, but actually she thought, screw that. I've got a new guy
Fuck
now.
that, dude. It's called the Logan Sapphire now, motherfucker.
Whoa. No, that's bold.
The most expensive sapphire ever sold.
Okay. Well, there we go.
But I asked my mom, we were at the Portuguese wine bar, and I said, Mommy, how much do you think this 200 carat sapphire is worth? And she made a fool out of me. She said, I think it's 200 million pounds. And I was like, fuck you at 17.
All right, okay.
Thanks for making me feel like a loser.
I mean, 200 million's a lot of money, isn't it? You can't buy Kylian Mbappe for that.
Money is not real.
Right, okay. Well, that was actually really interesting. Thank you for that.
Was it actually, Simon?
No, it really was.
Or are you just depressed like me?
No. Okay, so yeah, that's Corundum Part 1.
Part 1.
Quote unquote sapphire. That's us for today. Why don't you like, share and subscribe us? I think you're supposed to say that at the end of a podcast.
I think we are. And also we want to shout out to the people who have made this possible, because it certainly wasn't us, as you can tell.
Well, yeah, we give a constant shout out to Rob, because he really does make everything right and better. Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. We appreciate you.
Okay. Catch you next time. Adios.
Ciao.